What's up, everybody? We are going to go through some mobility work this morning, mid-morning. I'm about to go for a run. And so obviously I've already completed my cards, but I'm going to kind of go over that and also kind of open up some space before I head out. So if you have any questions, put some questions in the comment section, and then I'll get back to you as soon as I'm done with this. So I'm going to start just by going through a quick morning routine. I'm going to go through it actually quite fast, so I'm going to go starting now. I'm going to get in the kneeling position. You can do this standing. You're going to radiate, squeeze everything. From here, we're going to flex the head down, rotate, bend, extend. You're going to go through 2 circles. And then we'll work on our upper back. Give yourself a hug, flex down, rotate, bend, extend back, rotate, bend, flex down. 2 circles both ways. So about 30% effort here, quickly running through each card here. Glenohumeral, kneeling or standing, squeeze the fists, flexion, internal rotation to extension, abduction, and extension. Extension, external rotation, flexion, cross and down. And then switching side. Flexion, internal rotation as you extend, external rotation, flexion, across and down. Elbows, flexion, adding the supination and pronation at the end, and then switching it. Wrists, full circles, slow as you can, controlling that full circle, finding as much space as you can in the wrists. Okay, scapula, hands in front of the shoulders, hands a little bit wider than the shoulders, and then we're going to retract, depress, protract, elevate, and then create that circle. Keep your elbows locked. 2 circles one way, 2 circles the other way. Good. All right, now we're going to stand for the hip. Going to push into the wall. Going to use that same sided leg that's closest to the wall. We're going to go external hip rotation, knee flexion, and hip flexion. As high as you can go. Then you're going to abduct. The foot will go up as the knee goes down. And then extend. Then extend, come out, forward, and around. One more. And then switch. Okay, for the knee, I'm going to go on my back. Just going to flex the hip so the knee goes up toward the chest. Extend the knee, turn the foot out, bend the knee, turn the foot in, extend, out, bend, in, and up. So out, up, in and down, in and up, out and down, in, up, out, down. Switch. Okay, ankles. Two circles one way, two circles the other way. Switch. Patella. Should be able to move it in a circle with the leg relaxed. It's the only one we'll do without kind of irradiating. Switch. And toes, all 10 toes up. And then squeeze the toes into the ground. All toes up. Squeeze them into the ground. And then just the big toes up. And then big toes down, small toes up. And then all toes up. Try to separate the toes. And then go piano them down, pinky to big toe. One more. Piano, pinky to big toe. And done. Okay. Gone over basically the whole body. Now we're going to kind of do some ankle prep, and then we'll move up from there. We're just going to push into the wall, kind of lunge forward, and bring the knee over the toe. Okay, I'll start with my left foot. So we're pushing into the ground, or pushing into the wall. We're in ankle dorsiflexion here. We're also in hip flexion of the back leg, but we don't have to emphasize that. So we're really just concentrating here on this ankle to where you feel comfortable, kind of going back and forth to start. Then find a good tension line that works best for your body. For me, I kind of like a modified Cossack approach. You can also do a combat approach, or you could just stay here, just like this. Okay, so you can try all those different ways. So I'm going to go with a modified Cossack, opening up that back knee, and then bring that front knee over the toe. And then from here, just inhaling for 4, exhaling for 8. Inhale, diaphragm will lower, so fill the area in your lower abdominal wall, obliques, and lower back. Expand at 360. And exhale it all out. So we're at an end range right here of dorsiflexion of the ankle, which is good for helping you squat, helping you front squat, and also get into some lunge positions a little bit better. It's also going to save you and protect you from sports-related injury and training-related injury. So from here, what we're going to do is activate this stretch. So after holding this stretch passively for a couple minutes, we want to begin to activate that stretch. So what we're going to do is start pressing the foot into the ground, turning on the posterior side of the lower limb here, or the leg, and beginning to kind of use that calf, gastroc, soleus, Achilles to kind of push into the ground, just like 5% effort. A lot of people will make the mistake of going to like 80% effort, and then they get worn out, and then they can get injured as well. So you want to slowly ramp this up. That's why it's called progressive angular isometric load, or PAL. So progressive angular isometric load, progressing. So 0%, 5%, 10%, pushing down 15%, 20%, 25 to 30. And then your whole body will begin to irradiate, or kind of using your bioflow, using your whole body to begin to press into the ground, specifically with dorsiflexion, but also irradiating the whole body, so you're using as much muscle recruitment as possible. And that's going to help with neural efficiency and creating new pathways and opening up space, building a connection in the area. So after 30 to 40 to 50% effort, go to about 60%, 70, 70 to 80, then your safest and greatest effort for about 10 seconds. Using the gastroc, soleus, and Achilles to push into the ground. And then after that, rails, pull up this front tissue, pulling these toes up toward the shin, beginning to use that fibularis group of muscles, pulling deeper into dorsiflexion. So you might have to be careful here. Breathe. And then after about 10 to 15 seconds of that rails contraction, rails, regressive angular isometric load, we go back to our passive hold and reset, and then we can do pals and rails again. So we'll get to the other side. Okay. I might switch up to a combat stance, and then I can always go back to this stance if I want here. So working with dorsiflexion here. So holding, breathing. Really good stretch. I like the modified Cossack. Looks like this on the side, because it will open up this side too. So you can kind of, since you know you're going to be here for a while, 2 minutes, you can kind of work different areas of your body. Whereas if you're in the combat, it can be hard on the knee, it can also be hard on the ankle. So that's why this position here would be your first go-to option before this and this. So finding a good line of tension in the back or the posterior side of the lower limb. Like I said, the gastroc is in here, soleus, the Achilles is lower. It's three layers of tissue that make up, or mostly make up, there's more in there, but mostly make up that lower limb, which is allowing us to plantar flex our foot. So when we get into the pals contraction, we're going to try to progress out of the stretch or out of the angle. And what we're going to do is try to plantar flex the foot into the ground using those tissues 0 to 100%. So again, after about 2 minutes of stretching here, parasympathetic nervous system using deep breathing as well. So making sure that you're inhaling for 4, exhaling for 8. And then from here, begin to start pressing the foot into the ground, 5%, 10%, 20%, 30%, using all that tissue on the back side there, 30%, whole body engage, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, 60 to 70, and then go into your safest and greatest effort for 10 seconds. And then pulling deeper into the stretch in your rails contraction, turning that anterior tissue on, fibularis group. You might move a little. Full body still intense. And then relax. Okay. Now you can reset and go over that again and again if you're really trying to focus on dorsiflexion of the ankle, or you can kind of move on because obviously there's not enough time in the day to do every single joint with your pals and rails contraction. So for shoulder external rotation, actually gonna just do a quick upper body. One that you can use with like a bench, but you can get into a external rotation position. And then you can kind of work by pushing in here and then also pulling away. deeper into your external shoulder rotation. So if shoulders were something that you were working on in external rotation, that would be a way to do pals and rails here. And then also, you can get into a modified internal rotation using a bench or a desk. I call it the arm wrestling pals and rails, where you have somebody stretch you out like you're about to arm wrestle, and you try to pals get out, rails go deeper into your shoulder internal rotation. So those would be some ideas there, working shoulder internal and external pals and rails using a bench. But I'm going to get back to the knee. So for this one, I'm going to use a block 4 to protect the knee from this surface. Usually the best surface to use is grass, like going outside on the grass. That would be the most ideal surface because the ground will actually take on the knee a lot better than wood floor or cement, right? So that's why people use mats. It's a little bit more safe. So from here, what we're going to do is we're just going to go into a knee flexion, but we're also in hip extension. So working both hip extension and knee flexion here, pushing into the wall, and then flexing the knee, holding here, isometrically contracting the hamstring for 5-second holds, and then relax. Do the same thing, but this time we're going to internally rotate the tibia so the foot will go in. We'll bend the knee. 5, 4, 3, 2, and then let go. Now we're going to turn the foot out, externally rotate the tibia, and bend the knee for 5, hold it, 4, 3, 2, and then slowly bring it down. And then I'm going to switch. Okay. Same thing. First, just bend the knee, isometrically contract, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you might even get a cramp in your hamstring like I just did. So then from here, I'm going to internally or externally rotate at the tibia. The foot will go out, bend at the knee, hold it, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and relax. Turn the foot in, bend at the knee, hold it, 5, 4, 3, 2, and done, and relax. Okay, so that would be some knee flexion isometric holds and end range there. If you want to work knee flexion pals and rails, you can set up with your body next to a wall. And what you would do is stack your legs to start, kind of get in the fetal position, and then you're going to bend one leg or one knee and put the top of the foot into the wall. And then from here, I'm in knee flexion and a passive knee flexion, right? Because the barrier is the wall, and I'm using that to passively hold the stretch. Holding this stretch, I can breathe and hold for about 2 minutes. Inhale 4, exhale 8. I can use this block here to relax the head, just so I know that I'm allowing this quad to relax. Breathing into this stretched position. So we're working the knee here. A lot of people might think we're working the quad. If you think like that, you're thinking about one half of the circle. So think about a joint being a full circle, and that you're going to have open sides, closing sides. You're going to have 360 degrees of work space. So if you're thinking that it's just the quad when you're in knee flexion, you're forgetting that there's a hamstring involved with knee flexion. Because when you flex the knee, your hamstring shortens. So it has a role to play in this. So what we're going to do is, after we passively hold, we're going to try to kick out of this position. We're going to try to kick into the wall, right? we're going to try to progress the angle by trying to extend the knee. But since the wall is there, that is going to be our isometric load in this end range. So knee flexion pals pressing into the wall, trying to extend the knee, 5%, 10%, 20%, 30%, 40, 50, everything's irradiating. And then from 60 to 70 to your safest, greatest effort, holding for about 10 seconds. And then after 10 seconds in your pals contraction rails, you're trying to lift the foot toward your glute, going deeper into knee flexion. The foot might not leave the wall, and that's fine, but we don't want to see the knee deviate. That means you're just trying to fake it with hip abduction, which is not the same as just knee flexion. So that's okay, it doesn't leave the wall, but you want to focus on your hamstring shortening even further. So in order to have quality, good, strong knee flexion, you need to have good, strong knee or hamstring shortening ability. So the ability for it to tighten actively, not passively. So what we'll do is we'll try to lift the heel toward the glute in your rails contraction, holding that for about 10 seconds, and see how I'm trying to fake it by abducting my hip there. And then you can go back to that passive position. You can reset. If that's too much, you can also just kind of do that in the sideline position like this. So you don't need the wall there. And so I'll show you how to do it on the other side without the wall. So I'd get into that fetal position, bend that knee, hold on to the ankle, hold and breathe, inhale 4, exhale 8. So knee flexion, which is your quad lengthening, your hamstring shortening. Inhale 4, exhale 8. And then from here, breathing, parasympathetic breathing here, or deep breathing, trying to relax first. And then pals, you're trying to break out of this position. You're trying to extend the knee. You're trying to progress the angle, right? Pals, progress the angle. Rails, regress the angle. I'm trying to shorten that distance between the ankle and the glute here. So when we're in our end range, pals, trying to break out of this position. So basically, in a prone position, it would look like this. So pals, trying to break out of this position, 5%, 10%, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, trying to break out using my shoulder, wrist, and hand and elbow to hold on tight, all the way to your safest, greatest effort. 4, 3, 2, and then rails, trying to go deeper into knee flexion. You can let go or hold, but the foot shouldn't move because you're trying to go deeper actively into that rails contraction or your regressive angular isometric load. So you can use the hand to kind of lift away from the hand as tactile feedback, which is definitely going to help. Or you can lift away and then go back to your passive stretch, just like that. So that's how you would activate knee flexion in your end range. Pals, try to pull out. Rails, trying to pull in using the hamstring, shortening hamstring actively. So you're involving both sides of the joint when you work what people think is just your quad. You're actually activating, you need to be able to activate your hamstring too, to own that. Or also to be able to mitigate injury when you're in knee flexion. For knee extension, so you could use a block. I could go into a 90 position here like this. And what I could do is slightly bend this front knee. Now think of this. I'm in knee extension, so I have my quad is now shortening. My hamstring is now lengthening. So look at that. We're doing the opposite thing, right? So a lot of people think we're stretching our hamstrings here, but we're also shortening our quadricep. And we're also, look, flexing our hip. And why does that matter is because when you stand, your knees are perfectly straight, right? But when you go like this, your knees start to bend. And you blame it on your hamstrings. You're like, well, my hamstrings are tight. Well, then if they were super tight, they'd always be like this, right? So for hamstring flexibility, you have to think the knee capsule again. So what are we doing here? Knee extension. Okay, we're working the knee, the capsule, which is responsible for what the muscle does. So although the muscle moves the joint in its articular path, the joint is telling the muscle what to do. So we're in knee extension here. Now, if you feel this behind your kneecap, then it's probably due to sciatic nerve. If you feel this behind your hamstring, then you're finding a good hamstring stretch. So find a good hamstring stretch. For me, what? I'm in the middle of half 90.
Are you recording?
Yeah. You gonna show me?
No.
Let's see.
Oh.
Hold on. Let's see. Let's see. We're from right here. 140. Let's see. No. Let's see the gray one.
There's 2 blacks and a gray.
What's the gray, boy or girl? I don't know. Maybe the gray one. I know it's a boy or girl.
Maybe. How precious are they?
Come on, you can't get so much really intensity. You don't know it yet.
They're so precious.
Gray one's okay.
What do you mean, okay? It's a freaking kitten.
All right.
Oh my gosh. Where am I supposed to stretch out?
I'm almost done. Yeah.
Or what?
Everything. Come on. Do you want to be in it or what?
No.
Why not?
Go back. Go ahead.
Do you really want one?
Oh my gosh.
Maybe the gray one. All right. All right, we're finishing this hamstring off. All right, so we're in knee extension. What we're going to do is hold here, inhale 4, exhale 8. If you feel it behind your knee, that's not good. You want to feel it behind your hamstring. So that's why you might want to bend the knee a little bit. And then from here, pals, press the heel into the ground, turn the hamstring on, 10%, 20%, 30, 40, 50, 60. You're trying to kind of shorten that hamstring. You're trying to flex the knee. All the way to 100%. And then your rails, you're trying to shorten the quad. So you're trying to shorten the quad, also trying to extend the knee at the same time, which is shortening the quad, breathing, holding for about 10 seconds, and then done. So yeah, you're in this position, you're hitting internal hip rotation. So if you want to modify that, make it easier, you can do it just like this. You can also bring your heel up on top, just like that, okay? Or a lot of people like this one the best. Heel on top, bend the knee a little bit, dig the heel in, and I'll do my left leg like that. So bend the knee just slightly so you feel a good hamstring stretch here. Should feel it stretching along all this right here, not behind the knee. That's why you want a slight knee bend. And then from here, digging that heel into the bench, contracting this hamstring, trying to shorten it by trying to flex the knee. 5, 10, 20%, 20 to 30%, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60. Safest, greatest effort, turning all this posterior tissue on. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Digging that heel down. 5, 4, 3, 2, and then shortening this quad. The heel might leave the bench. Now shorten the quad. Go deeper into knee extension. And then back down. And remember, when you're stretching here, make sure your lower back is arched and you're in an anterior pelvic tilt here. You're gonna feel that a lot deeper when you do that. Okay, slight knee bend, anterior pelvic tilt, lower back, chest high, lean forward. And you feel all that going on. So after that, you can get all 3 sides of the lower limb by one pushing into the wall with 1 foot back. Okay, it'll look like this. And then you will hold here about 2 minutes. You should feel it in the gastroc here, the calf. Straighten the back leg, front knees bent. And then pals, press the toes down into the ground. Rails, pull the toes up toward the shin. And then back to your passive stretch. You can also do it by moving the leg up a little bit. Okay? And then from here, bending that back knee, straightening the front knee. And you'll feel it a little bit deeper here. Now we're getting into the soleus. Same thing, pals press down, rails pull up. And then for the Achilles, simply want to just get the full foot up the wall, as long as your feet aren't dirty. And then switch. So right leg back, hold 2 minutes, pals, toes down, rails, pull up, move forward, front leg straight, back knee bends. You're also going to feel this in the knee itself. And then from here, bring the foot up the wall, or you can always go like this. That would probably be a little bit better so you don't scuff up your walls. It's a good Achilles stretch there. And then pals, press into the block, rails, try to pull those toes toward the shin. Okay, so it's going to be some paddles and rails for lower limb in case you plan on running or post-running mobility, and we might get a cat. What do you think? Comment if you think we should get a cat.